Hey, I'm Ben Munson from Industrial Equipment News. We recently got a chance to check out Formula E, the world's first fully electric racing series with cars that can hit speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, all powered by batteries. While we were at this year's U.S. Formula E race in Portland, Oregon, we had a chance to sit down with several executives from ABB, the title sponsor and official charging partner for Formula E. We were able to dig deeper into ABB's work with Formula E and how it fits with the company's broader efforts around vehicle charging and clean energy technology. Here's our interview with Michael Plaster, Executive Vice President and Lead Business Manager of Electrification U.S. at ABB.
Yeah, we started back in 2018 and we're the title sponsor for Formula E. And really the driver behind that is it's a technology piece. So we partner with Formula E to help move the technology forward. And to give you an example, and although we were not directly involved, but the race has changed. And when the first years of the race were two cars. So in the middle of the race, the driver got out of the one car and got in the other because the charge wouldn't hold for an entire race. Now the charge holds for an entire race. And then I think the other piece is just the adoption of electric vehicles. When you see that a race car can go 200 miles an hour as an EV, you think, well, maybe I'll buy an EV and help the climate. And then from a technology standpoint, it's really about the charging technology. And in future years, they'll actually adopt a pit stop with a charger, and that'll be an ABB charger. So there's races all over the world. And it gives us an opportunity in interviews like this to talk to the media and inform you about ABB and our investments in a cleaner climate and our technology leadership in EV charging. And then I think the other piece, it's a draw, quite frankly, for the market and our customer base to come somewhere, see a pretty unique technology that's been growing over the last 5-6 years. And then, again, learn more about ABB. And it isn't just about the charger. I think that's the other piece that, well, we often talk about the vehicle and the charger. It's really about the infrastructure that supports that charger. And we talked a little bit about it today, earlier in the session. Without that infrastructure, we can't have the charging network we need for the adoption of EV vehicles to build a cleaner energy future. If you look at people that really appreciate vehicles. Of course, the first EVs were small, and there were questions of range, based on the weather. If you're in a cold climate, you don't go as far. And if you can see that there's a Formula One-like vehicle, it's a Formula E, that can go 200 miles an hour for a 45-minute race, it's got to give you some comfort that the technology is there for my own vehicle. And I've seen the advancement of EVs, and so I think the adoption becomes quicker because of that. And you'll hear terms like the electrification of everything. You'll hear terms like the next great American electrification. It does start with transportation. It's because that's the easiest thing for people to relate to. All right, if we've got 30% of our vehicles that are now EVs, that's obviously going to help the climate, and then the infrastructure is there to support it. But the other piece of this is the electrification of buildings, because it's cleaner, and then the generation portfolio being much more renewable generation portfolio. So we've got some utility customers here, and so they're really planning and preparing for a very distributed generation portfolio that's renewable, and then being able to have the intelligence to go to the most efficient generation, whether it's wind, solar, charging, or I should say a battery cell, to provide that generation. All of this translates into just a cleaner climate. I mean, and there's even regulations out there on, should you use gas versus electric. I think you'll see homes go much more electric because it's a cleaner technology.
ABB is sort of focused on that in the home too. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the Eve acquisition and kind of how it fits into ABB's broader strategy.
Yeah, it's very new, and I am not the expert, so that's my disclaimer. Okay. Literally was announced last week. But what it really allows the consumer to do is take all those smart devices and have one interface for all your smart devices. So and manage it from your iPhone or your Samsung phone. I'll relate it to my own experience, my own house. I have a HVAC system that has an app. I have a sound system that has another app. I have a lighting system that's only in part of my house that has another app. I have a camera system, not a big system, but that's another app. And so this Eve is really a layer that goes over that and allows you to basically manage your smart home, even if you have 6 or 7 different, quote, manufacturers of different systems in your home. And then when we relate that to just the efficiency side, it's really about being able to manage the devices. So if a consumer is really, I'll say, energy efficient conscious, then they can certainly control their HVAC, their lighting, all the things to make sure it's in use only when it's needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents are in a newer construction home, and it's pretty smart, and it's a point of frustration for them. So is that kind of what you're talking about, just making this more streamlined, make it not so frustrating?
I think of it in a couple ways. The first is just as you described. Make it easier for the consumer so that they can really use the power of whatever system they have. But the other side of it is that you don't have to have one system for everything in your home. And that's where Eve, the layer that can bring all these different manufacturers and intelligent devices together, allows the flexibility for the consumer. So if I'm a fan of Sonos, I can have Sonos. If I'm a fan of a different type of lighting control, I can have that lighting control. And if you think of existing homes, they typically don't have one system, and you add on to it. So when I put my new HVAC system in and I have my smart thermostat, I don't have to worry that is it going to work with my lighting control. The Eve technology allows you to bring that all together.